think I heard Master's voice talking about honor, joy, and peace. Honey, make your choice. Coal into diamonds, prisoners release. Coal into diamond. Unconditional. Innocent, call your bluff. Undefinable. Tell me, young angels, where do you find your love? Where do you find your love? The devil's telling jokes, corruption feeding. Where's all the good folks? You're gonna poison Eden. Where's all the good folks? You're poison Eden. I think I heard Master's voice. Light in this land and sky, in the water and the people. Realize and rejoice. You're living on high, and every angel's equal. Every angel's equal. Realize and rejoice. Rapture is all I see. Divinity's delivery, sacred succeeding. We all belong to Eden. Divinity's delivery. We all belong to Eden. We all belong to Eden. Eden. Think I heard Master's voice. I think I heard Master's voice. I know I heard Master's voice. Hey! All right. Sorry about messing this up all around and such not. Where am I looking for? I want to get a little more music. There we go. There we go, mate. All right, mate. Top of the morning to you, mate. God save supreme. God save supreme. All right. I think I heard Master's voice. And Master, I don't know what Master is. The light, creation, life. You can't say life because, the rocks aren't alive, but they're beautiful and wonderful and part of the planet. Foundational. Foundational. So, snowing. I don't think you can see it. It's not real heavy. Maybe in a couple of hours. Anyway, I love writing songs. I love singing. Do what makes you happy, my friends. It's not for fame or fortune. It's okay. You're on your path. There's no other path like yours. There is no other path like yours. And it's good and bad, and let's help each other. Let's help each other. So I got some kooky stuff and interesting stuff, hopefully, to talk to you about. Talking about our path. This is the only trophy I kept. I played basketball a lot. I helped win the state tournament in 6th grade, 7th grade, and in high school. I started as a sophomore point guard. My brother was the stud all-state MVP of the state. Won the state in 1975. He went to the Arkansas Razorbacks as a guard, just like my father did 30 years before. We also had an all-state forward, 6'6". And funny, when I went to teach at Springdale High School, he was the head of the social studies department. I know he helped get me hired because after I got my master's in teaching, I couldn't get a job and substituted for a year and long-term subbed. But he got help get me hired, saying, yeah, he's kind of outspoken and he's a democratic socialist, which I am. I believe in democracy and I believe in taking care of each other more than creating billionaires. I think it creates a better community. But anyway, I was a sub, which is not an easy thing to do because nobody knows you and the kids just want to have fun and goof around, and it's hard to keep them in line. And you also don't teach anything. You just hand them papers. I mean, how can you go into a chemistry class one day and a math class the next day and history the next, and you're not going to teach them all those subjects. So you're just babysitting in a way. No, I didn't like it. In January that year, a lady left for a month or 6 weeks to California, so I took her class over, long-term sub. So you write the lesson plans and you teach and you grade papers. So you're a teacher, you're just not getting paid that much money. And then at the end of the semester, a very popular, young, good-looking, nice, creative teacher with a pregnant wife died in a car wreck. Unbelievable sadness. And the counselor told me that she asked them, who do they want to teach? And they said me. So I took that class over. And this was a repeat class. When a kid flunks the subject and then takes it again, it's like so hard because a lot of them have given up, and he was good with them. He was just caring and understanding, and that's what you need in most instances. You don't need these hardcore people bullying other people around and bossing them around. That doesn't work very well, and it doesn't teach them much besides being a slave. So I taught that class for the last 6 weeks, and that may be a big part of why I got the job, too. But talking about our path, so this is the only trophy I've kept. And some of the guys, half the people on this, not particularly basketball players, half of them were. But the thing the craziest thing, 71, 72. 14 and under. So this is 14 and under. And my big brother played on this team. So I was not 14. I was 13. Maybe 12, but probably 13. I don't know. But the craziest thing was, this is the only team I've ever played on where at halftime, I remember at a tournament, maybe in Fort Smith, some other town, not Fayetteville, some other town, in the locker room at halftime, two guys went into the showers and smoked. I thought they were smoking cigarettes. I was only 13. They were probably smoking pot. I didn't know. All I knew was, wow, is this what the big guys do? At halftime they go and smoke. And again, this is 71, 72, the wildness of the 60s and the terribleness of Vietnam War. So it was a wilder time. And the coach was, if my kid played for a team like this and I heard about it, I'd want to kill the coach. But the coach was nice, but just allowed that kind of stuff, I guess. I don't remember. It was so long ago, but I could smell it. So I'm sure the coach knew they were smoking. And again, I'm just telling you, I was 13. So that's part of my path. Just kind of, wow, this is what they do. All right. So, let's try to be gentle to each other because life is so rough sometimes or incomprehensible, traumatic. And I want you to be good to yourself. Take care of yourself. You're number one on that. For taking care of you, you're number one. So do your job. Take care of yourself. I've got some hot chocolate right now. I knew I'd be stuck here for 2 days. So I got the cocoa and some almond milk and water and sugar. I'm good to go, man. I even got some whipped cream to put on top. I am a spoiled baby. Except I'm trapped in a cold house for 2 days. I pray to whatever power there is out there that it stays warm and the pipes don't freeze. So far, so good. Knock on wood. Even in, I think, Arab countries, they have that saying, knock on wood. And it means about the spirit of the earth and the spirit in the tree. Something like that. Okay. About reading and education. I'm sorry it's so dark, but that's, you can barely see it. But it's because of the snow. It's so bright. I remember in my 20s probably trying to figure out who were the best writers in the English language, and then going to the library and getting a bunch of their books and biographies on them and looking at different ones. And a lot of them were troubled emotionally, alcoholics. But the ones for my money, I guess, I'm remembering this from 40 years ago, but Proust, who is a French writer, I think of short stories mainly. But from what I remember reading, a lot of times I thought, wow, this guy, Proust, really made an impression on me about the control of the English language. And I say that, and I guess he wrote in French and it was translated. I don't know. A lot of times it's descriptions describing the colors of the sky or the depth of the ocean, or I don't know. It's descriptions as well as the story. But I remember Proust. You might check him out. Marcel Proust. And I'm not going to surprise anybody with this, James Joyce. I thought he was just phenomenal with words. So this is Ulysses. How many pages is this? I mean, big pages. 400 and, oh my God, yeah. And some of the, oh my God, is that just one sentence? Maybe, I like Jack Kerouac, and he's just very creative, and sometimes, he'd have a sentence for half a page or a page. But I'm not very far, page 15. It's just the first sentence. Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. Really nice, just a fantastic introduction. A lot of action and description. But Joyce. What's it? Finnegan's Wake. I guess that's the second book, and I've read some reviews. It's interesting to read reviews. this one guy was saying Ulysses is good, but toward the end it's disjointed. Or, but he said for a real work, his best work he thought was Finnegan's Wake, and I need to get that. And I finished a lot of these colonial history and constitutional convention books. I don't know if I'll finish Ulysses, but I want to read it. I want to see what is great writing, and Proust, what is great writing? Because if I write anything, including a song, I want to write it the best I can. I want to understand. This is another French guy, Maupassant, short stories, I think. And the reason I know this is because I was in graduate school, I think for public administration, and I met a guy on campus. Anyway, we became roommates. My parents had built a small house next to the bigger house. They had 5 sons. So the bigger house, which only had really 2 bedrooms, maybe 3 for 7 people. So they built the little house, as we call it. It was prefab. It wasn't very well insulated. It was a box. It didn't have any interior walls, which meant if me and 2 of my brothers were staying in there, you had almost no privacy. My father wasn't big on having privacy for his kids. He had privacy. He had a door to shut, but I grew up not having a door to shut and very little privacy. Hell, I lived in the room downstairs with 3 of my brothers. Bed, 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 bed. It was like a barracks almost. But a lack of privacy. So anyway, in the little house, me and my roommate from Shanghai, he was in creative writing, and he taught me a little bit about Maupassant. So I want to read some of him and just see how he writes. You can learn from you should learn from a lot of different sources, not just one source. I feel sorry for people that talk about one book. This is the book, and I'm like, man, there's a whole bunch of books. I wouldn't just read that. I'd look at the Bhagavad Gita, and the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Quran, the Bible, the Tao Te Ching. There's so many things to look at and learn from. Yeah, so I'm from Fayetteville, which has the University of Arkansas. And so even though, it's a little hillbilly town in the Ozarks, the university, that's why I had a roommate from Shanghai for 9 months. And we had a good relationship partly because he would cook and I would clean. He would cook the same thing every day. He would cook some white rice. And then he would walk chicken wings in a nice sauce and green cabbage and maybe sometimes bean string. But that was it, almost every day. And it was always good. I didn't complain. It was always good. And I didn't have to cook. But then I would have to clean everything, including, Chinese cooking with a wok. Grease gets a lot of places. So anyway, he cooked and I cleaned and did the dishes. I also became friends with a Nigerian in political science. I remember the teacher one day, the first day, calling our names, and he goes, "On Nietzsche, Mame," and this guy raises his hand. "You can call me Herman." That was so funny. You can call me Herman. So Herman Onichi and I became good friends. And Ibu tribe from Nigeria. I'm the godfather of his first daughter, which is sweet. I remember at the baptism with the priest in front of the church, the Episcopal Church on Dixon, where me and my brothers were baptized and my father was buried. So anyway, we're in front of the church and the priest says, what's the child's name? And my friend goes, Ifoma. And I could hear people in the crowd kind of going, Ifoma, that's kind of weird. Ifoma. And then the priest goes, "What does that mean?" And my friend goes, "A beautiful thing from God." And that's when everybody in the church goes, "Oh, that's so sweet. That's so nice." I just remember that. It was just funny. So anyway, I grew up open to other cultures and races and just being a part of the human family. Also, when I was in eighth grade, ninth grade, my father decided to have a exchange student live with us from La Paz, Bolivia. So we had 5 boys and our friend brother from La Paz, Bolivia. He was a senior, I think. My big brother was maybe a sophomore, so I was an eighth grader. I forget. But he was the oldest. He was shorter than us, but we were skinny and he was stout. He did karate, judo. He did judo. Strong dude. Super, just a great guy. Uh, Great experience to have a Bolivian brother for 9 months. And when I say my dad decided everything. And then it would be up to my mom to take us where we needed or to feed, an extra mouth and my mom was an angel and loved taking care of people. So that, you know, and she also was very, what do you call it? She didn't push back against my father. But she loved Jose, our brother from La Paz, and it was a great experience. It was a great experience. So I give my father credit for that, just being open enough and not a racist at all. And I mean, he helped integrate the pool here in this city. Probably 65. He was president of the boys club, and the pool. No black children could swim in the pool. As crazy as that sounds, but the boys club gave swimming lessons in the pool. So the swimming lessons were integrated. And I guess that integrated the pool. And my dad was president of the boys club when that happened. There was a lot of black leaders that were pushing. And, I'm not saying my dad was a hero. He was one of them. There was probably a bunch. But he was there too. And I'm sure he got pushback from, racist whites saying, "What are you doing, man?" So he is my hero. Um, so anyway, so I'm talking about my brother from Bolivia, my roommate from Shanghai, my friend who I am the godfather of his kid from Nigeria. I'm in this little town in Arkansas. Here's I wish you could see it a little better. This is from Oaxaca, maybe Oaxaca. I hosted 2 teachers from Mexico for a weekend at my house, so they stayed with me and went to things at the university. But that was cool. One of them was younger, one of them was my age, a little older in her 40s. And I remember the younger one, and we got along. I got along with the older guy. It's not what race you are or what country you're from. It's kind of your age as much as anything. You'll have some shared interests or experiences. So I remember the younger guy saying, "We have beans every meal in Mexico because we feel like if you don't have beans, you're not full," which makes sense to me. And they're very healthy too. But it's kind of funny. They cooked dinner, which was really nice. And then I said, "I'm going to do breakfast." So I was doing breakfast, and the young guy was kind of butting in and trying to tell me how to do this. I don't know. It was just, the older guy and me were both kind of like, "Take a break, man. Have a seat and just, allow the host to cook. Let me cook." It wasn't, it wasn't like anger, but it was just kind of more like, "Come on, just take a break." And it was just kind of funny because me and the older guy felt the same way. Some of my trinkets that I like, This is like a stone tool from Native Americans. I got around Cave Springs. A lot of springs around this area in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. A lot of towns named Spring, Eureka Springs or Cave Springs. But this is just a cool thing, and I don't know how old it is, but it's just special to touch something like this that's at least hundreds and hundreds of years old, uh, and chipped away by the natives, maybe the Osage. I think the Osage were the primary tribe around this area. Quapaw, I think, were more southern and eastern Arkansas. But the Quapaw or the Osage, I think it's Osage. One more thing about my father, and there you go. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, baby? That's pretty nice. That is the delegate pin in the 1968 convention in Chicago for the Democratic nomination for president. My dad was a good friend of Jim Blair, a lawyer. They're both in their 30s. Our library is called the Blair Library because he gave $2 or $3 million. So Fayetteville, Arkansas has one of the best city libraries in the nation, and I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And it's a beautiful library and also has a park nearby. So it's just one of the shining. If you come to Fayetteville and you talk to me, I'm going to say there's a couple things you need to do. Get on our bike trails, go down to the library. Those are two things that I'm going to tell you about. But this was in Chicago. This was the what some people call the police riot when Mayor Daley said, "Look, we're not messing with these hippies. You go beat the shit out of them." And that's kind of what happened. I believe in one instance, the crowd was pushed through the windows at a very nice restaurant at one of the hotels in downtown Chicago. So they, breaking the glass and into where the people were eating. I believe that's one of the things that was happening, but just madness, and it might have turned my dad, pushed him away from politics because politics can be so terrible. One of the most terrible things that are happening today is the harassment and threats that are happening mainly from the right wing, mainly from Trump people saying if you go against him, we're coming after you, and even death threats, just unbelievable madness that we have to fight. If you want to have a democracy that's healthy, I'm sorry to say you have to fight back against this craziness that's happening. And Trump is promoting it, and a lot of people are saying, "Yeah, I'm with him. I'm going to go crazy and attack other Americans." It's just, it's the worst kind of citizen. But anyway, I'm talking about a path. How long has this been? 28 minutes? I can keep going. So that's 1968. So what happened in 1968? I was 9 years old. And in April, one of my three heroes was killed. Martin Luther King Jr. He was killed. Unbelievable. One of my three heroes as a 9-year-old. Murdered. April, May, June. 2 months later, my second hero, Robert F. Kennedy, he was killed, assassinated. So within 2 months, two of my three heroes were killed. And I'm 9 just thinking, what the hell kind of place is this? What kind of wicked world am I living in? And you can say, oh, you didn't think like that at 9. Well, I knew my heroes were dead. I knew that. And that was a shock and a trauma. And then in 68, later in the year, my dad goes to that riotous convention. We elect the terrible, corrupt crook Nixon, thief, and that probably helped my dad push him into alcoholism and get him out of politics. So all three of my heroes two were dead, and then one was on his way down. because of alcoholism and the madness of politics in America. And one thing I'll talk about Nixon and some of the Republicans through the years is political operatives. Look that word up, political operatives. Almost all of them will be in the right wing. Almost all of them will be Republican. And some of the devious things that they did, the lying, cheating, stealing, making up things, telling lies to the newspapers just so the newspapers will print them and then put the Democrats on the defensive. Trump does the same thing, and he has some of the same people that Nixon did. There's a very good date. Let's see, what's it called? There's a PBS show, Frontline. Frontline is a great show. It has one that's called Boogeyman, the story of Lee Atwater. Yeah, check that out. Boogeyman, the story of Lee Atwater. That's a political operative who did a lot of devious things, and at the end of his life, when he had cancer, he started to say, I'm sorry for all the bad things I did as a political operative for the Republicans. Boogeyman. Yeah. Sad. Yeah, sorry. Democracy isn't easy, and because we've been so lax, so self-centered, so apathetic, we've let madness grow. So our society is sick now, both unequal economically and angry and cold and unconnected and supportive of, sociopaths that I am your revenge. I'm going to take revenge on these people. Come on, really? That's what kind of religion is that? Or the Christmas greeting? What was that? I hope these people rot in hell. Merry Christmas. Wow. Nothing to do with the love. The greatest commandment is love. May these people rot in hell, comma, again, Merry Christmas. How can you support somebody like that? It's the antithesis of love, understanding, trying to come together, be together. I tell you what, we all can't be billionaires. And the more billionaires you have, the more poverty you're going to have. There's only so much resources that we have. You reward the few, well, you're going to push the many down into an abyss. And that's where a lot of the madness comes from. People that are upset, man, my life's not good. Yeah, your life's not good. We haven't been very good about being a citizen and creating a good life for everybody and being devoted and committed to everybody, not just what can I get? How about me? How about me? Yeah, that's not a good community. That's not a community. It's a bunch of wolves. It's a bunch of wolves fighting for the meat instead of sharing it. Actually, wolves are probably better than that. All righty. This is long enough for this section 5, I think.